Good evening, everyone. We will now call the meeting to order. And would you join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll do that's going to be you, Randy, do the roll call?
Yes, okay. we are without our commission secretary this week, so I'm more than happy to take the role in her stead. Chair Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Here.
Commissioner Harris?
Hi, here.
Vice Chair Huerta?
Here.
Commissioner Pastorian?
Here.
Commissioner Steed?
Here.
And Commissioner Wilson. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. And now we'll start the presentations. And up first, we have a welcome by Mayor Marian Edwards and Mayor Pro Tem Matt Ron.
Well, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I've got a new microphone and speaker set up. And if you'd have seen the tornado, Tom and I are rushing around trying to get everything hooked up to work. I'm so glad to be here with you guys tonight. This is an historic moment with the city. We haven't added a commission really since the city was founded. So 1989, 1990. You have a great charge ahead of you. You know that the city has committed to providing race equity, diversity, and inclusion. We want to be sensitive to all of those issues to make sure that everyone feels welcome participating in city events and being at City Hall. So that's what you're going to help us with. You're going to make sure that we're communicating the best way possible, that we're engaging every segment of the community. And I think you have a lot to look forward to, and we're so glad to have you here. I'm absolutely thrilled. So thank you everyone for coming, and I'm going to take a picture of the screen, okay? So you all can say, everybody say cheese. Okay, there we go.
Charles wasn't smiling on that one. You got to take
Charles, come on. Very good. All right, thanks.
All right. Well, thank you all for your service to the city of Temecula first. It was no easy task to go through the 70 some odd applications that we had, but it was clear you all had the interest, the passion, the skill set, and the perspective that was important for our city and our community. I just wanted to give a quick history on this. I actually started this conversation with the city manager and our city clerk back in the fall of 2019. And there were some things in my tenure as city council member that I had seen happen that I thought really deserved this kind of focus. And so we had reached out to the National League of Cities and others to kind of help us as a city to understand, what other communities have done and what we could benefit from their history and their past. And basically how best to create something, because every city, every community is unique, and to create something that truly represents Temecula and helps us really, and I said this when the idea was finally put forward. I said the only reason we will do something like this if it's meaningful and actually moves the needle in some substantial way, right? Otherwise, if all we're going to do is just pay lip service to, the topics of race, equity, diversity, and inclusion, then we're doing a disservice, and we need to do better than that. So the importance of what we're doing here can't be overstated. And, Temecula is unique. Not every city, and especially over the past year, has stepped up to do this. And so I'm very proud of you all for stepping forward and joining us in this. We all want you to be successful. That is my number one goal here. And whatever we can do to help that, please, that's why we are the liaisons with you. We need to hear that, and we need to help in any way we can. We're all sort of navigating this together and forging new ground. I work in the private sector, I work in the public sector, I work in the academic sector, and I will tell you that be patient with us, because every one of those sectors has its bureaucracy, has its policies and its regulations and process and so forth. And while you might think the city government has a lot of that, let me tell you, academia beats everybody, hands down, believe it or not. But truly, there is a process for all of this. And we are under, a lot of guidance from the state and the federal government, a lot of policies and regulations. And so, we have to navigate that, because we want this commission, again, to have that meaningful contribution to Temecula. And so as we get through it, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to talk about. And I understand you've already had some experience with the Brown Act and other things. And, those aren't as much as we try to make them, interesting, they're not the most interesting things you could do, but they're important nonetheless. And so, just bear with us as this process unfolds. But we really do want to hear from you all. I look forward to, and I'm sure maybe somebody's already reached out, but I'll be meeting with everybody as well as I can individually, at least virtually here. I do that with all the commissioners at least once a year. But because you all are new to our city as well, I think it's very important to sit down, take some time, and tell you really, what my perspectives are. And again, I want to hear from you what your perspectives are, and see how we can make all this work. So I went way over my 2 minutes that Randy told me I absolutely have to stick to. I know, and I apologize, but this is a real important thing for me, and I really appreciate your time here tonight, and I look forward to working with you all in the months and years to come.
Yes, I'm going to be meeting with all of you too, so we look forward to doing that. And I hope you're as excited as we are.
Thank you guys for coming with us and speaking with us. And we will move on to our presentations from the city manager's office and the finance department.
Good evening, Chairwoman Baker and REDI commissioners. It's a pleasure to be back with you again for your second meeting. You didn't get rid of me last month, so I'm back for the second meeting. But one of the things that we felt strongly would be of value as new commissioners to the city, and I personally feel very strongly about this, that we put you in a job, all 7 of you, but to do your job, and as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we want you to be successful. I feel you need to understand the landscape that you enjoy now. You're part of the city. You should really have a good high-level understanding of every single department. For some, maybe this won't be news to you, but for many, I believe it will be news, because you need to understand the roles, responsibilities, and the authority that every single department has as you go about your mission as the REDI Commission to effectuate recommendations and be advisory to the City Council and the city staff. You really should understand what we're already doing and what we're responsible for. So tonight is that night. We're going to pick off 2 departments. We're going to start with my department, the city manager's office, and then we're going to transition into the finance department. And then next month, we're going to hit you with 2 or 3 more operating departments, and we're going to try to pick this off over the next couple of meetings, so you have a really good foundation of what makes the city of Temecula tick. So I'll jump right into it. So next slide, please. So the city manager's office is considered the executive office. we obviously support the city council and mayor, and my team is there, and they obviously support me. We are a very small, but we are a mighty department. And so you can see there, you're going to meet many of these individuals this evening because you already know me. And I thought it'd be better for you to put a name to a face and let them tell you in their own words what we do in the city manager's office. So Greg Butler is the assistant city manager. Betsy Lowry is the assistant too. Luisa Tovar is our executive assistant. She sits outside my office, and she is responsible for getting us all where we need to go, including 5 elected officials, the mayor and the city council. And then we have Stacy Brown, who also supports our office and all the administrative functions of the city manager's office. So that's a little bit about who makes up our department. And I'm going to kick it over to Greg Butler for a little bit more of introduction. So Greg.
Thank you, Aaron. Can everybody hear me all right? Presume so. I can't see faces. So yeah, thank you for that introduction, Aaron. You are correct. We serve as the executive office. And in that role, we also serve as a intergovernmental liaison to other government agencies that we interact with. Pechanga being a prime example of that. They're a sovereign nation. They have their own governance, and our office works regularly with them. There are adjacent cities that we liaise with quite frequently. And then there are larger regional commissions that we support, those appointed on the council to, as well as the staffs of those commissions. Riverside County Transportation Commission, Western Riverside Council of Governments, or WRCOG, is also one of those roles. And then finally, one component of our office, and you'll meet and hear more about them shortly, is the economic development is also housed in our office. You can see by the organizational chart there are multiple departments that make up the city. Aaron and I split those up for direct oversight and support so that each of us have roughly half of them that report to us, and we interact with them on a daily basis. And again, as Aaron said, each of them will come before you at a future meeting so that you will be able to understand their roles and responsibilities and making this local agency tick. Next slide, please. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Betsy Lowry, our assistant to city manager, and she will walk you through some of the general stuff and special projects that our office handles. Betsy, it's all you.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. But thank you, Greg, for that introduction. And the Office of the City Manager, many of our general duties, in fact, are special projects from the mayor, city council, or the city manager that may not necessarily fall within another department, or it's a project, event, or program that council prefers to be handled here in the executive office. So for example, the State of the City this is the mayor's State of the City each year. It's a fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce. So our office works closely with a committee at the Chamber, but it's also an event really that the mayor puts together. Even there is a committee, but it comes out of this office. And for 2020, it was all virtual, and it was an all city council State of the City. If you haven't seen it, it's maybe take a look at our city's YouTube channel. You'll find it there. And every year it kind of talks about all of what's happening in the city. Our office also develops mini State of the Cities, as the mayor, mayor pro tem, or city manager's office will be asked to give presentations to organizations throughout the city. Each year, also, this started about 6 years ago or so. The mayor likes to select, they select a mayoral theme for their year. And this year, you are the first to publicly see this with our mayor on board here, that it is Temecula Cares. And we also usually develop a logo too. So you're looking at it here. And we'll also be unveiling, I'm giving you examples of what kind of projects come through our office. We'll be unveiling COVID Remembrance of the Duck Pond in conjunction with our Community Services Department in the theme of the mayor's Temecula Cares for 2021. And while we consider a more what that project actually is. While we consider a more permanent memorial to remember those who lost their lives in this historic worldwide pandemic here locally, or if residents lost a loved one in another state, but they're here in Temecula mourning their loss. Beginning on February 17th and through 2021, Temecula citizens will be able to request a customized flag. They'll be with their name date to memorialize their loved ones who died near and far. We will begin with all white flags, about 50 that represent the residents who graced the city of Temecula as their last home on earth. So these are the kind of projects that come through our office each year, and we'll be unveiling that this weekend actually, and that will come out next week. But some more examples that we're working on this year is a grant for an all-electric shuttle bus. So you're going to see far and wide different projects come through the executive office, because sometimes they just don't fit into another department, or again, they come through our office. We'll be conducting a citywide survey. Also in conjunction with this survey, we'll be updating, helping the Community Development Department update the Quality of Life Master Plan this year, and the CMO will be reaching out to form Blue Ribbon Committee. So you will definitely be a part of that. When parks and facilities are named or renamed, that comes through our office. Again, these are just some examples. So next slide. And so we also work on a citywide newsletter that's mailed out to every single address in Temecula. We try to get that out a couple times a year. And then we also have begun this year in 2021, an e-blast, a monthly city news and update that comes from our city manager's office of all topics. Our office, and if you missed the e-blast, or if you haven't signed up, you can look on the city manager's webpage for those. We'll house them there. Our office also handles federal lobbying efforts. This is hit or miss. We don't always get a federal grant each year, but in 2019, we were able to secure the city's largest grant in the history of our city, and the amount of $50 million to complete our French Valley Parkway project. And everybody who drives northbound on the I-15 will be very pleased with that when this is done. We observe Pechanga Powesca Mountain Day in appreciation of the culture of Pechanga tribe, and that comes through our office, Temecula's original culture. Our office serves as city staff reps for local, regional, state, federal governments and organizations, and it's important to develop these relationships and learn from other jurisdictions and vice versa. So we're on different organizations, and we work locally, of course, with our chamber on committees, and neighboring cities. We go to their state of the cities. We understand what affects Murrieta, affects Temecula, Pechanga, county, state, and fed. Again, we work with, that's an important relation. Those are important relationships, and we also have mutual agreements that come through our office as well. Next slide. We also have an annual program, Community Service Funding Grant Program, and that comes through our office. We work with many nonprofit organizations who can apply for a grant up to $5,000. It's not, and there's also a city council grant program as well, and that we process. Our office also handles civic center leases, and currently we have Assemblywoman Waldron uses our office on occasion, not right now with being virtual. Congressman Issa has taken over we have a suite there that the previous congressman was holding in our office, and it's very important to have we're very fortunate because we can interact with their staff, and if we need something on the federal level, it's very, very accessible for everyone in our community to have that office here. Our city attorney leases office space, visit Temecula Valley. Our office scheduled, so that's Louisa. Erin mentioned her before, over almost 1,700 meetings in 2020. So, and that's not a small task. Balancing all of those, making sure that they come to the meetings, and it's Zoom. So that's a little extra steps as well. So we sometimes get the public inquiries. They want to go to the executive office. They want the mayor to fix the pothole. So we sometimes get a whole gamut of inquiries. And last year was almost between 1,100 and 1,200 inquiries. We work on press releases citywide. And that takes us over to the next slide, which is our public information aspect that Christine in our economic development division and I work very closely with. And we develop and maintain relationships with other PIOs. That's important because when there's an emergency, region-wide, fires don't, they cross boundaries and it doesn't matter. So we work very closely with all the other PIOs. Christine hosts an annual PIO get together and meet and greet because they come and go as well. During a crisis and emergencies, we communicate essential information to the public. Like I said, fires happen a lot, but this year, of course, was COVID-19. We are still continuing to outreach to the community through social media, press releases, media advisories. We developed 2 web pages, temeculaca.gov coronavirus, Revive for economic recovery, newspaper ads, radios, outreach videos, reverse 911 systems, e-blasts, and we also have a COVID hotline in Channel 3. So we've kind of used all of those, and we use them for all topics too, not just emergencies, of course. But that's kind of my end, and then probably a good transition to go into the economic development.
All right, thank you, Betsy. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, the Economic Development Department or division is housed in the city manager's office. It's headed up by this dynamic group of 4 people as shown on your screen here, led by Christine Damko, who's our Economic Development Manager. Charles Walker's our Senior Economic Development Analyst, and he'll introduce his programs to you a little bit later on this evening. And we are all supported by our social media specialist, Brianna Barunda, and then Courtney Fletcher, who's also an economic development specialist. This team of 4, I don't want to steal any thunder. I'm going to let Christine introduce or talk about what her group does. So Christine, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Greg. Good evening, REDI Commission. I know some of you, and I look forward to meet the rest of you in person someday. So this is just a quick overview of what we do in economic development. We focus on business attraction, so attracting businesses to our city, business retention, so whatever businesses are here in the city, we want to keep them here and grow them and assist them. We also work a lot with the community, so lots of presentations, lots of updates, and that leads into marketing. And then we have the Temecula Valley Entrepreneurs Exchange, and that relates to our business attraction and retention. And then you'll hear from Charles a little bit later about our youth workforce and youth education and employment programs. And by the way, in 2020, we were selected by the U.S. Small Business Administration as the Community of Excellence. And this is out of all the agencies, cities, and counties in the Inland Empire and Orange County. So we're very honored for that recognition. So this is just a quick little what we do to retain businesses here. And really, it's a lot easier to foster and grow what you already have than to go out and attract another Abbott, for example. So, and how we do that is literally by walking into businesses. Now we do a little bit more Zooms, and if we do walk in, it's a little bit more careful, but we love just literally walking into businesses, introducing ourselves. A lot of time we partner with the Chamber of Commerce and we just go on site walks. We also have, we also understand that businesses have different needs. So we partner with different sectors. So we partner with the Chamber on a Manufacturing Council. We work with the auto dealers. By the way, auto dealers consist of 27% of our sales tax revenue, and sales tax is nearly half of our budget. So they're a very important sector to Temecula's economy. Our budding Craft Brewers Guild, we have a strong involvement with our Chamber of Commerce, which is our small business community. People ask us for resources on if I'm starting out as a new business, or I want to start a new business, I'm an existing business, or I'm a business that wants to come to Temecula, what type of resources do we have? We do have free resources. So not only do you have us on the city side who will walk you through the permitting process if you have a problem trying to obtain a sign on your building, for example, we will walk you through that process. But let's say you need help on creating a business plan. The city partners with the Small Business Development Center, it's SBDC, and they're actually housed out of our Temecula Valley Entrepreneurs Exchange, and they offer free resources, free one-on-one business counseling, and the representative is Paul Nota, and he has access to a ton of specialists. I think his latest count, he has 11 specialists on staff at this moment, and that's not counting all the connections he has in Orange County and up in upper Riverside County. So there's a lot of great free resources for our businesses. Business attraction, we really divide business attraction up into two routes, if you will. So one is our retail, because retail is very important to the city. We are not only a tourist destination, but we are a retail destination. We have a strong Promenade Mall, for example, that attracts a lot of people from Riverside County and beyond. They come here to go shopping. And so we want to keep that momentum up and keep our retail diverse. And so we do spend a lot of time on retail attraction. We do have a consultant that we work with, and they really dive in and help us pull out key demographic information and consumer behavior that we can use to attract those specific retailers and restaurants that we want. And then the other route that we use for business attraction is getting sustainable wage jobs here to our city, getting people off the freeway, out of commuting, and having them here work locally. And so we do that we have a great relationship with the commercial brokers. Those are really our boots on the ground, people that are attracting and filling our industrial space. And we do attend trade shows. We have a regional partnership with the Economic Development Coalition, and that is a regional economic development effort with neighboring cities and the County of Riverside. Social media is also housed out of economic development. It really goes nicely because as economic developers, we're constantly meeting with people and telling the story of Temecula, what we have to offer, and why they want to come here and get them excited about the city. And so I hope you all follow City of Temecula on various social media channels. We're very active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then we also have a YouTube channel. And it not only provides your city information, but it really does have that nice economic development twist on it. And so we have some beautiful picture campaigns on there. Last year, we had a whole year-long series of Made in Temecula. And so we worked with a local photographer who took beautiful pictures of everything that you can imagine that is made in Temecula, from manufacturing companies to craft brewers to local furniture makers, all made here in Temecula. And so that is featured in our social media, and it's pretty cool to see that. Obviously, we use our social media for communication, and it has really grown the past few years to the point where our social media is driving the news. For example, a few weeks ago, we partnered with our local hospital, Temecula Valley Hospital, and they were in need of supplies. And we made a post. That post reached hundreds of thousands of people and even reached Channel 4 News. And so Channel 4 News in LA came down, they interviewed the hospital CEO, and they did a beautiful story on us. And that was all spurred through our social media. So we're very proud of the power and the strength and how it showcases our city. And now I would like to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Charles Walker.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Good. Hey, so I wanted to start off with this picture right here. This is one of our classes of interns, and this is at our annual Mayor's Intern Appreciation Luncheon. We have all these pictures every year, and this is one of my favorite ones right here. We have the mayor standing right in front. We have the city manager over to the side, and I think most of you on the commission you guys have been a part of our programs over the years, so I appreciate that. Next. So these aren't all of our programs. These are just some. Because of time, we can't go through all of them, but I'm going to start off with our College and Vocational Fair. Again, I believe most of you guys have been to our College and Vocational Fair. This is one of the largest of its kind in the country. We have over 300 college and vocational schools in attendance, flying in from the East Coast, from the South, from Canada, from Mexico. We have about 10,000 participants every year, and we're able to track those participants. The mall helps us with that, and it's the second busiest day of the year for the mall, okay, behind Black Friday. About 50% of all attendees over the years that show up are unique users, meaning they're first-time visitors to the mall. And that's great for what the mall is trying to do, but what we're trying to do as well by getting an educated workforce here in Temecula and bringing schools to our young people. Schools districts from Irvine, from Riverside, San Diego, send buses to this event, and it's a very wildly successful event. We have our Youth Innovators group, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is a group of high school students who are interested in creating enrichment and recreation programs for the city, for the city's youth. We have our Young Women's Career Conference. This is a breakfast every year that attracts about 150 to 175 high school girls. Is hosted by Mayor Marian Edwards every year. And we have mentors, female mentors that work with the young ladies, speak to the young ladies during that breakfast. We've had everyone there, like doctors, lawyers, generals, Olympians, of course, mayors, and it's another popular event. Yeah, if any of you guys would like to be involved, we can always have a table for you. We have our Leadership Academy. We talked about our internship. Our internship is one of the largest municipal internships in the country. We have cities from as far as Detroit calling us. How do you do it? And what are some of the things that you're able to do well? And I always tell them that you have to have full-throated buy-in from your executive staff, from your directors. They actually take these individuals into their departments and give them real tangible projects to work on. And that's what makes it successful. Our interns have gone on to work in other cities. They've been hired with our city. Some have gone on to work for Google and NASA. Some have gone on to further their education, but it's a great internship and a great program. Junior Women's STEM. This is a middle school girls STEM introduction program. We think it's very important to try to catch these young people in middle school, introduce them to the world of STEM, One of our partners for the last 10 years has been Abbott Laboratories. And next week, February 17th, we have another STEM event for these young ladies. We start off with a lecture and then a hands-on project. And when we were meeting in person, we ended it up with pizza. But now there's no pizza virtually, unless, of course, it's at their house. We have some of our workforce programs. And like I want to just keep reminding you, these aren't all of our programs, just some. Our summer legal scholars program. This is for college age kids who are interested in going to law school. It's a 7-week program where we work on the LSAT. We have guest speakers, panels. They have work on case studies, learn how to write briefs, work on their applications. And because it's such a popular program and it's put together really well. Over the last 7 years, we've had California State Bar president come down and have lunch every summer with this group. And he says that this is the only city that has a program like this. And once again, is just shocked at how the city of Temecula is able to do something like this. Our auto dealer intern program. This is a program that we take individuals with a partnership of TVUSD and young people who are interested in the automotive world. We partner them up with our auto dealers, and it's a paid externship. 100% of all the individuals who have gone through this program have been offered employment after they complete their externship. Not all 100% have accepted that employment, but all have been offered jobs. Our construction program, right now we're partnering with MSJC and Habitat for Humanity. And this is an introductory construction program where we're teaching individuals about safety, tool introduction, how to read blueprints. And at the end of the program, they're able to get jobs with construction company, and many have. And our culinary program, we're just not pushing the post-secondary education of college. We're pushing vocational opportunities for these individuals as well. The culinary program, where we partner with local chefs. They go through a 6-week program and learn everything from safety and knives and how to clean properly. And many have gotten jobs in the field of culinary. Next. We talked about our youth innovators. This is a group that is high school students. And they work on a lot of these different programs, our Science and Innovation Fair, our Regional Leadership Conference. They're the main ones that help organize our Young Women's Career Conference and our Rocktober event. This is Rocktober is an event that happens in October, and it's a music showcase. Next. We talked about the automotive internship. It's for high school graduates. We talked about how we're batting 1,000 right now when it comes to employment, and that's the main thing we're trying to do. We're trying to give them opportunities and access to the world of work and giving them real skills. This program wouldn't work without our strong partnership with TVUSD and CTE and the auto dealers. They really appreciate what we're trying to do. Next. Future Positions Leaders Program. Because there's a shortage of doctors in this area, the city partnered with UCR Medical School and Temecula Valley Hospital to create a 7-week undergraduate program that introduces young people to the world of medicine. For many of those who want to go into the medical field as doctors. A lot of our graduates from this program have gone on to medical school, and coming up this in a couple months, we should have some that are graduating from medical school right now. So we're really proud of that. They started at this program, went to medical school, and now they're graduating and they're coming home as residents in this medical residents in this area, in this region. They get to work on real things. They're just not just observing, you know, some of the things that go on. I'm a little choked up because I always remember when we went around asking the young people who got to shadow, what'd you work on today? And one person in the group said, oh, I got to call time of death. So this is real stuff. It's broken into 3 parts: our shadowing, our community health project, and our lecture series. The community health projects, they break into groups and they work on a real project, a real community health need. You know, I use this example. In the beginning, a lot of people were always asking, well, maybe we can work on some foreign pandemic, unlike what we have now. But then we try to bring it home and say, well, listen, community health project, what about obesity? What about heart disease, cancer, things like that? And those are some of the things they work on. We talked about our legal scholars program, and similar to our future physicians program, we have graduates who were in the program, went to law school, graduated from law school, and now have taken their oath to practice law. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And commissioners, I know there was a lot to unpack there. We have a lot of this information on the city's website, but if there was anything in here that remotely piqued your interest or something you want to contact us or need more information, or you want to, don't hesitate, contact Randy. We'll be happy to email you, point you in the right direction, or follow up with that. But maybe we do have a little bit of time, Madam Chair, if there are any questions, and we'll try to answer them.
Hi, it's not a question, but I just wanted to make a comment. May I speak?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm just amazed at what Temecula, the city of Temecula, is doing. My son was one of the recipients of being involved with the mentorship program while he was in high school at Great Oak High School. I think he was in the citizenship program for about 3 years. And when he graduated from Great Oak and went to MSJC, he ended up having an internship with the Mary Phillips Senior Center. So that has really taught him a lot of values, a lot of skills that he is using right now. So the program truly works. We're a recipient of it. And thank you to the city of Temecula.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for sharing that. And I know there's others on this call that oversee the Mary Phillips Senior Center. They too will be proud to hear that too. So, any other questions or comments about the roles and responsibilities of the city manager's office?
I'm going to say a couple of things if I could.
Please.
Wow, I'm blown away about the things you guys have already engaged in and already have foresight on in regards to the citizens of Temecula. Some great programs that you guys brought up. I didn't know about a lot of them, but as you showed that, Charles, as you showed that big picture of all the kids standing there, I could point out several of them that I knew that were impacted by what you have done. So I just want to say kudos to your foresight, what you're doing, and look forward to walking this walk with you. I saw that, one of the things I wanted to bring up, I saw there was a couple of programs, and as I look at, our focus area, a lot of programs for our young ladies. What I didn't see in that description was anything identified for our young boys. So there may be something there, like you said, this wasn't the whole caveat of everything we're doing here. But I just saw some things centered towards our young women. And I just wanted to see if there is anything, and we can get back later. Is there anything, any specific things centered towards our young boys, young men, particularly those of single parents, like single moms who are struggling with trying to direct their sons and not having that father figure in there. So if you have something, I'll be interested to hear about that later if you have anything right now. So thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Commissioner. Charles, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so our Young Women's Career Conference, we just take that opportunity to engage our young women in the city with outstanding mentors. You bring up outstanding point. We want to make sure it's inclusive for our young men as well, and our Young Women's STEM program. That started just because we had a lot of research that young women were just being blocked out of the STEM fields. So we just wanted to give that opportunity. Over the years, we've had several young boys who've come to that same program because we don't turn anyone away. So it's open for everyone. Maybe we should change the name, but that's what we were focusing on. But I'd love to work with you, hear some ideas, and we're always, in the office trying to come up with new ideas and new programs.
I appreciate that, because our young women are on fire. I already know that. I can look at this screen and tell that. But I just want to make sure our young men are on fire as well. So thank you.
Exactly. And that picture is great, isn't it? That's one of my favorite pictures.
I tried to take my camera out and take a shot of it. I'll get it later, but yeah, I love that picture.
A good one. I think Ivy or Jackie, one of you had a question.
I just have a really quick comment and question. I completely agree. That picture was profound, and I did not know about a lot of the programs that Temecula had, especially for our youth. And that's something that I'm particularly interested in, is how our city is serving the youth and being able to retain the real talent that starts here. We have some brilliant kids that grow up here, and that's in part due to the teachers that are brought here, and also the individuals that work clearly very hard to ensure that they get to, play a lot with their, own intelligence and interests. But my question is more about recruitment and admissions methods into those particular youth groups, and whether or not there's any concise way in which they're targeting minorities. Or I know that we have groups particularly for women, but is there any way in which there's a drive towards bringing more or targeted effort into bringing more minorities into those groups, or educating them on
what's available?
On what's available. Yes, thank you.
Good question.
Well, one of the things, if you have been to our college fair, if you've noticed, we have an entire section of HBCUs there. We have about 7 HBCUs at our college fair, and that's a great place to start. Like I said, we didn't talk about some of our other programs, our Innovators programs, and our young people. We talk about making sure when we do our recruitment for some of these groups, that we're opening it up for everyone. But I am more than open to get as much help as possible when it comes to this. So I think this commission right here is a good place to start that.
Yeah, Jack.
I just wanted to say, obviously, the city does an amazing job with inclusivity with all of the programs and everything that we offer. It's outstanding to see just the different variety and the roles and the classes and the projects. It's mind-boggling. So we do a really, really good job on that. I think in light of what we're trying to do here, I think if we could be really conscious of our social media, which we do a phenomenal job, but making that really diverse, and I think that will foster what we're trying to accomplish. Let's show everybody that lives in Temecula. Let's make those pictures and those images really diverse, because that's our goal. We want everybody to feel included And the city does a phenomenal job on marketing, and everything that's put out there is beautiful and well done. I think we just need to include a few more pictures of different situations and different diversities. That would be awesome.
Point taken. Good one. Crystal?
Thank you. I just want to echo what everybody said. It's incredible to see. Commissioner Ivy brings up a wonderful point, as so does Commissioner Steed, and that is in that vein of being inclusive and such. And I know that Temecula does a phenomenal job of this, but and maybe because you mentioned that we don't have that full list of programs, which I'd like to request, by the way, if somebody can send that to us. But where I know that we have a history of making all of our special needs youth included in a lot of these pieces. However, how much more powerful, to Jackie's point, would that picture be should we show somebody in that front piece, you know, who is in a wheelchair and is still getting and is all these pieces that is accessible to them as well, or whatever. So I'm just curious if that is something that is kind of embedded here. And again, I know you just gave us a truncated list, but I'm curious if that's something that we can target because, you know, for example, the Leadership Academy, while I know you probably would never turn anybody away, how accessible, and we know that these youth are incredibly competent and they should be given all these same opportunities, and we want to make that accessible to them as much as possible. So, just curious about that.
Well, that's a great point. And I'm glad you brought up the Leadership Academy. We started off with the Leadership Academy because we wanted to give skills that the parents at home said, hey, you know, the school should be teaching this. And the school said, hey, the parents should be teaching this. Okay. And so after the end of the Leadership Academy, everyone has a portfolio of a food handler's card, CPR, you know, don't laugh, library card, okay? And the soft skills, resumes, cover letters, letter of recommendation. A lot of people were saying, well, the young people said, we don't have anyone to get a letter of recommendation from. Well, by the end of this program, hopefully your neighbor will like you enough to give you a letter of recommendation, okay? But that was such a successful program that we created one for our self-identified special needs population called Global Citizens. Okay, it's the same program, just smaller classes. Okay, and this is a very good program as well. It teaches all those skills, and once those young people, so that addresses some of the special needs inclusion, and then once you go through that, you're invited to go into our Viticulture program. Our Viticulture program is another very interesting program that teaches these individuals about the world of how to make wine and the business behind it and the biology behind it and things like that. So we do have a lot of these special needs employment programs along with our internships. And our departments, you know, our IT department in particular has been outstanding when it comes to inviting individuals that have self-identified with special needs into leading some of our IT needs.
Thank you for that. That's incredible. No, and the clarity truly helps. And it leads me to ask the next question. So I apologize. No. But when you say that, and I'm looking for clarity again, and for anybody who's watching, clarity as well. Are those programs such that they are still our special needs community alone? Or are they programs in which those special needs people are working in an inclusive peer-to-peer environment where they can continue to gain those same skills? And that's kind of from obviously our perspective here on this commission, what I'm curious about. But how is that set up?
Well, the city has an inclusion specialist, okay? Someone who is dedicated. The city has a dedicated division for inclusion. And maybe at the next meeting, that person could come and answer those questions a little more pointedly, okay? But we, you know, it's part of that employment. Some of that is part of the employment, and I can say that when we place young people, and help me if I'm answering your question correctly, we place these individuals right next to someone, a typical employee. Okay, so no one is isolated. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. And I
Okay.
think that, again, not just for myself, but anybody else who's looking to know that level of transparency, and certainly that there's a specialist that is, and I agree with you. I think, you know, if we can get somebody like that to come in, certainly to this commission, that would be great as a guest to help, you know, add that other additional level to what we're looking for here. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Commissioner, I know we got another department we need to get you briefed on, finance, but we're happy to bring Charles back at another agenda item or another REDI commission if you like, and we can go into all the detail that you want. So we knew that you would gravitate to all the good work that's coming out of his shop. Related to special needs and inclusion programs, I do think it's important for me to mention that you're going to get a heavy dose of just that when the community services department comes before your commission. That particular inclusive specialist that Charles referenced is housed in another department. So they're going to come before you probably next month or the month after, and you're going to get all the great stuff that goes on in community services, which only one of which is focused on special needs, both youth and adult programs. And so you'll get a lot from them there as well. So, but with that, we just wanted to, again, thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do, what we're charged with. You can tell we're excited. We're proud of what we do. We know there's room to improve, and we know this group can sharpen us as we go forward on this journey together. So we look forward to working with all the commissioners. And so with that, I'm gonna transition back, and I'm also pleased to introduce our finance director, Jennifer Hennessy, who's gonna walk you through the nuts and bolts, high level, I promise, of the finances of the city of Temecula. So REDI Commission, again, thank you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Nice to see you all. I will quickly share my screen here. All right. So as Aaron mentioned, we'll do a very brief overview of what the finance department, what our main functions are, starting with, of course, the budget. So our annual budget is just under $2.5 million. We have staffing of 14.75 full-time equivalent employees. And then the major functions that we provide are financial support services, budgeting, financial reporting, and revenue management. We'll dive into each one of those individually. This is the organizational, the functional organizational chart to show all the different functions that support each of those main divisions. The first division is finance support services. And within this division, we have our procurement office, also known as purchasing. And we have our purchasing manager, Mary Volmuth, and Jill Flores, our accounting assistant, who head up that department. And they basically assist all departments with their purchasing needs, ensure that we are following the Temecula Municipal Code and any other pertinent rules and regulations. They do preview of each contract that the city enters into. They're the first line reviewer of all contracts before it goes to the city attorney for final review and approval. Also within the finance support services, we administer all of the city's long-term debt obligations. We currently have 8 community facility district bonds, 2 tax allocation bonds, and then 2 financing leases that require ongoing reporting throughout the year and administration. And then, as you may know, the city contracts with Riverside County for police and fire services, and the finance department is the one responsible for coordinating the update and execution of those contracts. And Trisha Hawk, our fiscal services manager, oversees that. Budgeting is one of the primary functions the department does. Next meeting, you'll hear more in depth about our budget process. But for tonight, very briefly, we have an operating budget, which is the one that includes most of the departmental salaries and benefits, there's services and supplies, mostly all of the operations of the city. We do an annual budget, a mid-year budget, and then ongoing analysis throughout the year to ensure that we're spending in accordance with the budget. We also have a capital budget, and capital projects are large infrastructure type projects, such as roads and bridges, facilities, parks, anything that costs in excess of $30,000 and has a long-term useful life. And the city does a 5-year capital improvement program budget, so we're always looking out 5 fiscal years, and that becomes our primary planning document for large capital projects. And then we do 5-year forecasting for the general fund, Measure S fund, TCSD, which is community services, and then both the police and the fire department, as they make up more than half of our operating budget. So long-term forecasting is a very useful tool for the council in particular, because it shows the impact of decisions made today on the long-term fiscal health of the city. And our budgeting staff includes myself, Tricia Hawk, our fiscal services manager, and Tina Rivera, our management analyst. Next, we have a section called financial reporting, and this is more along the lines of a regular accounting office. So we have accounts payable function, which includes all of the payments to the vendors for the acquisition of goods and services. We do weekly check runs, and most recently we've introduced the option to pay vendors via electronic funds transfers, which are much more timely, less paper, less administrative burden. So we're transitioning as many vendors to that payment method as we can. We also have an accounts receivable division that invoices and collects payments from customers, granting agencies, tenants. I know Betsy mentioned earlier in her presentation that we do rent out office space here at City Hall, so we collect that money each month, and then any other entities that owe the city money. And we have Pam Espinoza and Jada Schaaf, who are accounting technicians that oversee both, or that work in both accounts payable and accounts receivable, and Tricia Hawk oversees that function. The next function is maintaining our general ledger and our financial system. We use a system called Eden, and that includes all of our, it's basically our accounting database. So the maintenance of Eden includes updating and deleting account numbers, doing system upgrades, and working with the IT department to make sure that that system is functional throughout the year. And Jordan Snyder, our accountant, too, handles that. Additionally, we have REDI Graciano, our other fiscal services manager, who coordinates the annual financial audit process. The city is audited each year by an independent third-party auditor, as well as very specific audits related to transportation funding and things of that nature. Each year, we produce a report called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, or CAFR for short. We do single audit report, which is another audit function of federal grants and awards. We do quarterly financial statements and several state controllers reports, and then various audit reports throughout the year. And both Rudy and Jordan are the primary point people on those audits, with the assistance of Lauren Garcia, our accounting assistant. And then finally, we have payroll, which is probably everybody's favorite function, at least every other week on Thursdays. They coordinate and manage the biweekly employee payroll process. They do all of the IRS reporting, personnel analysis when we're working on the budget process, and then they ensure compliance with our labor agreements, federal and state labor laws as well. And Roseanne Ward, management analyst, and Cecilia Ramirez, our payroll specialist, are the ones doing our payroll each week. Next, we have revenue management. So under this section, we do a treasury and investments, managing all of the cash investments of the city, focusing on safety and liquidity first, with return on investment as the third priority there. As we're fiduciaries of taxpayer dollars, we want to make sure that the safety and liquidity is paramount. Rudy, Lauren, and Jordan work on the treasury function. And then we have our business license and cashiers, and they provide the frontline customer service to the public and manage the issuance and the renewals of the business licenses each year. We have roughly 8,000 different businesses that obtain business license each year. So we work through that throughout the year, and then they do a renewal cycle every January. And we have Catlin Dorset and Daisy Landa, both accounting assistants, who are our two cashiers up front. And we have Melanie Brown, an intern, who assists the entire office with administrative tasks. And then finally, we do grants administration, helping other departments, ensuring compliance with the grant requirements, making sure that the grants are spent in accordance with their restrictions, and then do all of the necessary reporting. The major objectives we have for the coming for the current fiscal year, the largest by far is we are working to implement a new citywide financial system. So we've been utilizing the Eden system for over 20 years, and we are working to upgrade that system to a new one called Tyler Munis. This will be a multi-year, multi-million, or well, not multi-million dollars, but a very expensive proposition, and it'll take roughly 2 years to convert over to a new financial system. Other objectives that we have been working on and have completed so far this year are implementing a paperless accounts payable process. So again, we have a process that was 20 years old, very inefficient, very paper driven, and we've been able to make that a paperless process, improving process time and payment time. One of our goals every year is to achieve a clean audit report, meaning that there are no findings from our outside third-party consultant or certified public accountant. And then finally, on our operating budget, capital budget, and the CAFR, every year we submit those for awards, and we have been fortunate enough to receive an award on these 3 documents every year. But more so, what we gain from that program is that these documents are reviewed by our peers, and they provide feedback on how we can enhance the readability of the documents, enhance the look and everything else regarding our budgets and our CAFR. So it's a very worthwhile program to participate in. And with that, I am available for any questions you might have.
I just have a quick comment. I just want to say that I've looked at some of the financial reports, and it's very transparent and very well documented. And I just, it was very easy to go through the report. So it's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we're gonna, seeing no further questions or comments, we're gonna hand it back over to you for the balance of the meeting. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Will we have commission reports now?
Actually, Madam Chair, we are moving on to public comment, and we don't have any public comment right now.
I'm sorry, I just went right past. I got to get it in my mind. Usually you do the public comments first. So yeah. I'm like, public comments? I'm going to the agenda. Sorry.
No worries. No worries, no worries. We have no public comments for this meeting, so you are welcome to move to the consent calendar.
Okay, and so we're going to take a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th.
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And Madam Chair, because we are in a virtual environment under an executive order for the Brown Act, I'm
Roll call.
obligated to take the roll call out loud. So Chair Baker,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Huerta,
Aye.
Commissioner Pastorian,
Aye.
Commissioner Steed,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, now for the business. To review the cultural services and program offered in the city of Temecula.
I think that's our cue. Thanks, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, and thanks, Randy, aka Director Joel. My name is Kevin Hawkins, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Community Services here in Temecula. And, you know, for selfish reasons, give me a moment to let this all soak in. Okay, I'm ready. You know, to the earlier discussion, you know, I believe we'll be back next month for an overview of our entire department and, you know, where our mission is to improve the quality of life here through a complement of programs and services and events and activities, or as we call it, creating community through people, parks, and programs. You know, and that community, to the earlier discussion, is all inclusive. It's youth, teens, adults, seniors, veterans, and our special needs population. So also in anticipation, we're working on a REDI overlay. And that's where each division is taking a look at our activities, events, and programs, and overlaying race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And this will be shared and discussed at a later date. So a lot of the discussion and conversation that we heard, we're kind of getting started and getting ready. And so once we, getting ready. But once we engage you, we're actually welcoming that discussion. So we're starting on that now. But I recall listening to many of your interviews before the City Council, and in between you know, all of you sharing your experiences and thoughts on how you felt you could contribute on this commission, many of you also talked about your love for Temecula and how you or your family settled here for the quality of life. And among the high quality of life reasons I heard were community services related programs, events, and arts and culture. And it's this cultural arts piece that we want to share and engage you in tonight. As such, we have two of our excellent managers who will be introduced by their fearless leader, and that's Bea Barnett, our cultural arts superintendent. So with that, Bea.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Chair Baker, Vice Chair Huerta, and all our new REDI commissioners. We're ready, and we hope that 2021 finds you healthy and hopeful. The sign of a great city is the strength of its cultural life, and we're the champions of cultural experiences at the crossroads of arts and equity. As one of the cultural arts stewards for the City of Temecula, I'm here this evening to share the Arts and Culture Mission Statement and introduce our two Cultural Arts Division Managers in the Community Services Department, Museum Manager Tracy Frick and Theater Manager Cherise Turner. The City of Temecula integrates the arts and culture into our community life by providing opportunities to experience the vast artistic and our cultural assets in Temecula throughout collaborative, supportive, creative partnerships and promotion of our city as a vibrant cultural destination. You know, the arts are all around us, offering hope, inspiration, imagination to make us even better individually and collectively. And as we navigate this challenging moment, we have the opportunity to reimagine our system with meaningful community engagement. We are partners with you in collaborating and improving that which we have created and identifying ways that we are already reaching out to all these populations. So with that, the best example of a community is an orchestra in my mind, or choir, where many different individuals with various talents and expertise come together to create one harmonious sound in unison, not unlike what we are all doing in this room tonight. So with that, I introduce to you Tracy Frick to cover the museum offerings, cultural offerings, and then Cherise Turner for the theater offerings. And this is just a taste. This is just a drop you're going to get more next month when we have the full department here. So we're just giving you a little taste so you'll want more. With that, Tracy, take over. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, commissioners. As Bea mentioned, my name is Tracy Frick, and I'm the Community Services Manager for the City of Temecula Community Services Department. I have the great honor of overseeing the Temecula Valley Museum and the Arts and Culture and Entertainment Division for our Community Services Department. And I'm very pleased to present to you this evening just a taste, sampling of the many cultural offerings this division has offered our community over the past many years. The Temecula Valley Museum has the unique opportunity to offer a wide variety of cultural experiences to both residents and tourists. Our vision is to become the premier center for art and culture in the county, and our mission is to be a center for immersive experiences that celebrate history, culture, art, and natural resources. The museum's focus for the past 13 years was, or for the first 13 years of its existence, was primarily on the history of the Valley. But in 2013, we began experimenting with offering a wider variety of exhibits with differing perspectives to be more attractive to the recent residents and visitors from all over the world. To date, we have reached almost 400,000 people through our exhibits and our programs. The museum began to offer exhibits in celebration of national events, such as the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and the anniversary of the end of World War II with an exhibit on the Holocaust. We offered an exhibit that detailed the impact of the volunteer efforts of Catholic sisters on the early development of the state of California, exhibits on touring in Europe, exhibits on Black history and American folk tale quilts in celebration of our annual Temecula Outdoor Quilt Festival, and several exhibits detailing the plight of the Native American in our region and throughout the country. We've offered exhibits on special needs children, the power of editorial cartoons, rock and roll and its influence on society, multiple art exhibits, many art exhibits, African textiles, the plight of the Irish after the potato famine, and many more. We even created two of our most popular exhibits to date, the history and the art of the marble, and the art of Stan Sakai, who is a local resident and the creator of the cultural icon of Japan, Usagi Yojimbo. The result, our attendance figures began to climb. We went from reaching an average of about 15,000 people a year to a high of almost 30,000 people in 2019. In conjunction with our exhibits, we always strive to offer educational opportunities for the public to learn more. Programs celebrating Black History and Women's History Month have been a staple at the museum since its inception, but we offer many other lectures and programs in conjunction with our exhibits or in conjunction with national months and so forth. This is just a very small sampling of the lectures and programs we've offered over the years. Probably the longest running continual program at the Temecula Valley Museum has been our educational offerings in celebration of Black History Month. The program began in 2002 with lectures and grew to educational theatrical performances on a different topic of Black history held each month in the Chapel of Memories. Dramatic portrayals included detailing the lives of civil rights activist Franny Lou Hammer, aviation pioneer Bessie Coleman, singer-songwriter turned activist Nina Simone, and the trial of Scottsboro, Alabama are just a few. In 2016, it was determined that we had outgrown the Chapel of Memories as a performance space. And in 2017, we offered a musical celebration of the messages of Martin Luther King at the Merc. That sold out as well. And since 2018, the Temecula Valley Museum has partnered with the Old Town Temecula Community Theater to sponsor major performances celebrating different aspects of American Black history. Theater manager Sharice Turner has done an amazing job finding and promoting these very impactful performances, such as Freedom Riders, the musical, and this year's upcoming Bayard, a new musical, which will be held on February 22nd. The staff at the museum have also created programs in support of our veterans, including helping to facilitate a very powerful outdoor exhibit in 2014 called The Moving Wall. This traveling exhibit was a half-scale replica of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., and it allowed Vietnam veterans who can't travel across the country the opportunity to see the wall and the names of their fallen comrades. Suffice it to say, it was one of the most emotional exhibits we've ever presented. We also presented an exhibit on the 100th anniversary of Armistice Day, provided a cost-effective excursion to the USS Midway Museum, and created 2 videos celebrating the service stories of our local veterans. Additionally, we offer an exhibit of service artifacts in the museum each year for Veterans Day and Memorial Day. The museum arts and culture staff are also proud to facilitate the more than 27-year sisterhood with our sister city in Daisen, Japan. Each year we welcome 2 groups, the middle school students in July and the adults in December, from Daisen, Japan, to share culture and fellowship. In 2019, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of that sisterhood with a special exhibit and with a visit to Japan from City Council member James Stewart and Assistant City Manager Greg Butler. The success of these exhibits and programs led us to expand our cultural offerings to better reflect the diversity of our growing community. And in 2019, we created Second Saturday, a cultural celebration of Temecula. On the second Saturday of each month, we celebrate a different country, region, or culture with food, music, and facts. Before COVID, this program was very successful, sometimes attracting more than 500 people during the 3-hour celebration. Currently, we are operating the museum online, but we hope to resume this event by maybe the end of this year. The Arts and Culture team is also responsible to offer artist exhibits at 4 city local galleries and at a monthly event, Art Off the Walls, which allows the local art community a way to offer their talents and artwork to the community for free. This popular program found its permanent home at the Merc and the Lot on Main in early 2019 and was growing dramatically prior to COVID. The team also created a plan to develop exhibit currently on display outside the council chambers and is currently putting the final touches on a new cultural public arts map that we should have out soon. We are very excited. This is brand new, just started last week, but we're going to have a student art mural program that will take place in Sam Hicks Monument Park, with the very first mural to be installed by students at Great Hope High School featuring prominent Black Americans, and we'll have it up by the end of Black History Month. So to conclude, I can't begin to explain my excitement in the formation of this committee, as I know you share the same passion for cultural education as we do. I hope this presentation has shown you the depth of our past offerings. The city and the Community Services Department have always been very supportive of our move towards diversification and inclusion in our programming. And as I shared from the beginning of this presentation, our mission is to become the premier center for art and culture in Riverside County and offer high quality, immersive programming and experiences that celebrate our region's history, culture, art, and natural resources. I would look forward to working with you and have you help us grow our offerings and bring this vision to fruition. So with that, I'll turn this over to my colleague, Cherise Turner, who will present to you what the Temecula Community Theater is doing.
Good evening. Once again, I am Cherise Turner, Community Services Manager, and I oversee the Old Town Temecula Community Theater and the Merc. Tonight, I will share with you a few cultural offerings the theater has presented over the years. The Old Town Temecula Community Theater is committed to providing a rewarding and memorable experience to our audience, participants, and supporters, and to be a valued cultural asset of the community. We are devoted to educating our community through performance and participation. Our objective is to keep the arts affordable and accessible to all who desire to engage in the arts. The City of Temecula, Temecula Valley Museum, and the Old Town Temecula Community Theater join our nation as we recognize and celebrate Black Americans' many achievements and contributions to our great country. The Celebration of American Black History performances launched in the Merc in 2017 and has since grown tremendously and is now presented on the theater main stage. This year, we have invited our community to celebrate with a free virtual celebration throughout the month of February. Temecula Presents has provided free 90-minute master dance classes to our community since 2006. This allows our community direct access and mentorship by world-class professional artists to Temecula's dance crowd. Our classes draw diverse participants from various backgrounds and skill levels. Classes feature various dance disciplines such as ballet, tap, flamenco, and hip hop for all to enjoy. Arts Connection was created by the Temecula Theater Foundation, Temecula Valley Unified School District, and the City of Temecula as dedicated arts partners since 2008. Temecula's theater proudly welcomes 4,000 plus students annually to experience live theater at no charge to promote arts education and inspire the next generation. Personally, one of my favorite programs. After a very successful launch in the Merc in 2019, Temecula Presents free student-led musical theater Internship moved to the main stage. This equitable and inclusive arts education program provides youth access to 3 months of mentorship by professional artists and expert advisors, resulting in a public performance. The Old Town Temecula Community Theater promotes culture and arts and enriches the quality of life for residents and visitors in Temecula. A place for local talent, nonprofit arts organizations, national and international artists to create memorable experiences on Temecula stages. As we build our cultural community together, we are grateful to all the talented performers, generous volunteers, dedicated staff, and loyal patrons who create and shape Temecula's vibrant performing and visual arts culture. The future of the theater would embrace a larger performing arts center with the following: larger performance auditorium to grow audiences and host larger performance productions, lecture, workshop, and clinic space for arts education, music rehearsals, and more, large dance studio to house a dance program, a black box theater space for multi-use, flexibility, and intimate experimental performances. I personally am grateful to the City of Temecula for creating this commission board. I appreciate the willingness to educate and the courage to stand with our community to create for a great cause. Our Community Services Department has implemented multiple programs that promote race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. I read recently in a blog that diversity is a fact, inclusion a choice. As an organization and a community, it is important to feel valued for your contribution regardless of differences. As leaders, we have to continue to engage others in the dialogue, not debate. Break norms that inhabit inclusion, be courageous, be a role model and build awareness, empower others to lead, develop connections and alliances that other key influencers committed to race, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and hold them accountable. Thank you for this opportunity to present to you tonight.
That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take any questions at this time. Thank you.
Now I know why Mr. Kevin Hawkins had a big grin on his face, because I think he covered all his bases. Such a phenomenal job. It truly warms my heart to see everything that our city offers. The Moving Wall in 2014, I was part of reading out some of the names, and it was one of the most moving things I've ever been a part of in my life. So kudos to you guys. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And maybe something like that can be done next year for Black History Month. Maybe we can read stories of experiences that has happened during Black history. Maybe we can make that an event, something that can really bring people in and happen in a park and be, kind of educational at the same time. But you guys are killing it. You're knocking it out of the park, and you should be very, very proud of yourself. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Yeah, I echo what Jackie has said. Tracy and is it Charisse? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Charisse. You guys have done an amazing job. Great brief. And it was great to hear about all the cultural programs and that you're committed to within the city and how you bring that to light in the city of Temecula. That is great. Seeing those different, all the different countries represented and how you're doing to bring that to life and bring education and information to the city of Temecula, because we don't know what we don't know, but we can always have a deeper understanding when we have conversations and we see events like that. So I want to applaud you on that. The other thing is the MERC is amazing. I've been there for several events, and I was there for the Black History, the gospel event that you had there, and it was amazing. There's not a bad seat in the house. Whoever did that architectural design did a great job. I just want to say kudos to you. We appreciate you. Looking forward to working alongside of you to try to continue to focus on making sure that all our programs are ready. Okay, that's all I had to say.
I just wanted to say congratulations. You guys have a phenomenal schedule of events. And I know I too have participated in at the MERC for, I think it's the Motown Review and all of that. I just love it. Maybe now with this committee, we can be a voice in the community to just share more of your events that's going on, because half of those I had no idea that the city of Temecula was putting those on. Now we can be a mouthpiece to share with people. Look at what we're doing. Look at all this. It's very inclusive. I mean, we're touching every demographic that you can imagine. And I like that you guys are open to receive and see what else can we do. I know I had was in an email, I think it was with Kevin, and I was telling him, 2 years ago, we had the Martin Luther King Day parade, and I had went to the mayor of Marietta because the parade was in Marietta. And I said, well, we need to partner with Temecula. We need to have the parade starting in Temecula and just go all the way down Jefferson, connect to Marietta, and then we could end in your park. And he says, yeah, let's make that happen. But then, COVID happened, but I would really like to see something like that in the city of Temecula, Martin Luther King Day parade, because my family and I have been driving to Riverside probably for the last 10 years and participating in their parade. So we're going to work together to get something like that. But I love all the different things you guys have planned. I'm excited. I'm like, I can't wait till this COVID is over so we can get out and get busy in our community. So thank you guys for that.
Commissioner Wilson, I would like to add that Sharice secured a recitation of the Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech, and that will be published at the end of the month with a moving montage of photos that were taken during the peaceful protests last year here in our city and other photographs. So look forward to that on February 28th. But
That's
one
awesome.
one of the most moving recitations of that was in the chapel a few years ago when Tracy had secured a recitation of that. And just to hear it in person, to see the film is amazing, but to see someone embody that, it's so relevant and still important to hear now. So be sure to catch that on February 28th on all of our sites.
I definitely will. And I was talking to Mr. Kevin again. I said, we need to partner with the school district. We need to have some type of exhibit, have the kids recite poems for Black history, have them do drawings of famous inventors and all that. And then let's host an exhibit at the city of Temecula during that month. And there's all type of videos that we could show, books. We could do a book club for the month of February. We're going to read this book because we want to educate people. And I think that's the main thing. A lot of people don't know, but when they get educated, it's like, okay, now I can relate. Now I can understand. Now I can love. And I love that. That's the part I love.
Commissioner, I know Tracy wants to jump in. All I was going to say is I see where Jordan gets it from, and we love Jordan.
I know. Thank you. Yeah, he loved you guys too.
I wanted to say that we did do that in 2016. It was the program that made us realize that we've kind of outgrown the museum. We had third grade students draw portraits of their favorite Black hero, and we had them all throughout the museum. And to the point earlier about young Black men or young men and programs, we invited young Black men that year to come in for a robotics program. So we are trying to do those things, and I'm so thrilled to have you guys here so that we can do even better.
Yeah, we have a great foundation here at Temecula. We're just going to make it better. So I love it. Thank you, guys.
I just want to echo what every other commissioner has said, but truly, to all three of you, it is so incredibly apparent where your hearts are, and it's a privilege and really truly an honor to work alongside people like you, who it is steeped in passion, and you're clearly driven by something else, and that's change and love. And I have to tell you that it is obvious to me in so many ways, and I think, Bay, you said it best when you described it as being harmonious. I love that, because that's something that I think we all understand, certainly on this commission for sure. As Commissioner Wilson said, we have a strong foundation, and I think that foundation is harmonious right now. And what we can add, certainly, and partner with what you're doing, because you truly are celebrating culture. And that is something that sometimes gets missed. It's one thing to acknowledge culture and to talk about it and bring it out to the forefront, but what the city of Temecula is doing here, certainly with you all at the helm, is celebrating it. And that is something very, very different. And that is showing so much of what the mayoral theme is, which Temecula cares. And you can see that steeped in this particular group here. And it's a privilege, and again, an honor. And I want to applaud you for what you bring to add to this wonderful city of ours and what we're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Very kind. Very kind.
Yes, just echoing what everyone else said. It's so amazing. I am so excited what the future holds and excited to collaborate. And also very happy to hear that you have that free internship program for youth that may not have the means. So I applaud you for that as well, and just look forward to the future.
Thank you. That was one of the comments that broke my heart, is to hear some of the kids that are in the programs that cost $300 or $200 every 6 months. And for them to say, I can't participate because I ran out of money, or I can only do it once a year. That's heartbreaking, because if you have the talent and the desire, the financial impediment and barrier should not hold you back. So that's what we're committed to.
Right. And I know internships can be limited. So I don't know if there's sponsorship opportunities too.
Luckily, we were sponsored by the California Arts Council. So we write grants occasionally. That was for almost $5,000. And what we tend to do is, our commitment is strong. So we'll vary the cast size depending on who applies. So initially, we were calling people to get involved. Now it has grown. So we are able to cast based on who applies, and there's flexibility there. So our budget can cover, and then we expand it with grants. But when there is opportunities for sponsorship, we will welcome that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that information.
I had a just follow-up question. Kevin, are these programs community driven? So you survey, you see what specifically the community is looking for, and then you develop? I just want to see how they're engaged and involved in providing feedback or providing information on how you develop some of the programs that you have.
Yeah, no, good question, Commissioner. And we're always doing surveys, and we're always engaging the community. We just completed a community services master plan that did a full-scale needs assessment. Talked about not just current programming and facility needs, but also moving forward. But it sounds like there's a little back. Yeah, but also one thing I wanted to add is that our department, and it's been brought up, first of all, the namesake, community services, right? So that is like our mission, to serve the community. And if that is not like baked into your DNA, every person that's on this call knows that this is not the job for them. And we have a way of writing great letters of recommendations to other agencies, right? Your heart has to be involved in this. So yeah, so a combination of things, but also for the large part, and to a certain extent, a lot of our department and the management team, they're you. They are residents or from the adjacent and surrounding areas. So we are not thinking these things. We're not in kind of this silo saying, oh, this would be great. These are things as parents, spouses, residents, taxpayers, to say, you know what? we want to see a return on investment, or, you know, what would make for a great and high quality community and quality of life. And that's how, and when you combine that with probably, not probably, but the most talented community services team in the region. I've worked in San Bernardino County, I've worked in LA County, right? I've been in this business for a long time, in a variety of capacities. And your team, I can tell you that your team here is second to none, and it shows. When COVID hit, for example, and a lot of agencies have been limited, you know, the goal and the charge was, how can we pivot, right? We may not be able to do our traditional things, but that should not dissuade or discourage us from providing community services, right? So how can we pivot and provide that same Temecula way and that same impact only in a virtual environment? And you've heard some of these things. No, it's not our traditional way of doing business, but we are still providing those services. So a long way of answering, but it's a combination. Yes, we do through a strategic, you know, for needs analysis, we do surveys and response, but also the good old fashioned way where we roll up our sleeves and we engage. I think Commissioner Wilson talked about it. I think others have mentioned it. It's like, we would like to see this, and we want to be responsive. Being a responsive government, responsive department is part of our core. So I hope that answered your question. And you're only getting a taste. Yes, you feel and you see the excitement because, I mean, you know, this is just our cultural arch, right? We have 5 other divisions who are just chomping at the bit. I'm getting texts all over saying we cannot wait to engage this commission, which is probably a sister commission to our Community Services Commission, right?
Yeah.
Where you're seeing the diversity of the city, of the workforce, but also of the department. And it's also a diversity of thought too, right? Where we get together and we say, how can we improve the quality of life? And how can we make an impact and a meaningful impact for every level of this community? And that's critically important to us.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. If you got more staff like Tracy and Charisse, I'm surprised you guys haven't solved world hunger, but I'll wait for that as well. Thanks.
I just want to kind of dovetail onto what Commissioner Faulkner said. Kevin, I love what you just said and what you brought to it. And you're right, there's obviously so many other pieces and facets to what it is that you do that we haven't seen yet and that we are so anxiously looking forward to. But I'd like to at least task you or challenge you with thinking about how and what it is that we can do as a commission to continue to facilitate your good work here. And obviously we certainly talked about becoming a mouthpiece for putting those things out there, but I don't think that that's obviously it. And the more that we can collaborate together and continue to walk along the path together, we're going to really move mountains. And that's what we want to see, and that's what we want to do. So as we see the rest of your departments moving forward, certainly think about and how we can continue to play a role alongside you. And I'm sure that's already coming, like you said, and you've already had these thoughts. We just want to hear them, and because we are, and no pun intended, but we are ready. So right, Mayor Edwards, yes, exactly.
You're doing it right now, and I thank the City Council for establishing this commission, because you're an extension of what they've charged us to do and what we're attempting to do. And so to have you as part of the community championing everything that we're talking about, validating it, pushing us, right? Where it isn't just the confines of community services now, right? It's going to be integrated throughout everything that we do. And that's the council's charge. You're definitely charging that hill, and we can't wait. So Randy, I know this is your meeting or whatnot, but we're just excited, right? Because we see partners, we see advocates, we see champions, but more importantly, we see the community, and we're here to serve you. So we're ready.
I like that everyone's ending with "we're ready." So I'm thinking in my mind, we need T-shirts to say "we are ready," the acronym, and then spell it out who we are.
Just final comments. Sorry,
Okay,
but
okay.
Kevin, Tracy, Charisse, you're doing amazing work. It's really exciting to see what you have planned for Black History Month this year, and also some of the work that you've done in the past. I know I saw the exhibit with the Fannie Lou Hamer and Black history through comics, finding new and dynamic ways to share culture. My thought behind it is why don't more people know about this, and why isn't the community interacting more with these services? Because they're absolutely amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And this is the foundation really for change. Having the community being able to interact, understand, learn from different cultures, that creates empathy. And that is the door to change, really. It starts here. So thank you. Thank you so much for your work, really.
I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna be quiet, talking too much. But one of the things I think, as Commissioner Ivy brought up, I think one of the things getting the word out is we have so many people that commute outside of the city, you know, and are not really paying attention to all the media, whether it's Facebook or whatever, what's happening in the city. Remember, people working 8 to 14 hours away from Temecula. So what they're seeing, information they're getting is probably from the cities they work at. So then they come back here and they have to raise their families or whatever. So I think we have got to be another conduit to make sure we get that information out. But I think the reason a lot of people don't know about a lot of these great programs, I was in the military 27 years, and my work now takes me outside of the city. So when I get back, it's tired and recuperation. It's not looking and digging down to try to find these programs. So really looking forward to working with you to try to make sure we get all this great information out to the citizens of Temecula. So thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Faulkner, because in our zip code analysis, 70% of our audience is local and then 30% come from outside. So you're perfectly right. And the arts provide solace. They help us rise above difficulties and uplift our spirits during times of change and confusion. It's our obligation to play that central role in bringing people together. So the more people that know, then they tell people, and we're going to get through these tough times. So I applaud the cultural staff that explores hybrid interactions, multi-site performances, and they widen the audience reach even technologically. So we haven't been able to have in-person events, but our communications, our videos, our social media, our free concerts, they have reached a wider audience nationally and globally that we could have never had in our 354-seat auditorium. So where the pandemic has been terrible, isolating, death, mayhem, awful, at the same time, we've been able to shine some positivity and a light for not only our community, but our family that lives in other states, other countries, and new people that are just finding Temecula on the map. So thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to seeing you again next month, and thank you for serving. We look forward to working with you.
Madam Chair and Director Joe, if I can just circle back quickly to Commissioner Harris's comments about why don't more people know about this too. And I hope that this commission would agree that any lasting change happens incrementally, and you're all long-term residents. And I think probably over the past 5 to 7 years, where you've seen dialogues change, right? Not just programs, but dialogues change, right? And so what's been pointed to is that we're building, well, there's a foundation, but we're building upon that too. So we're making something that's sustainable. It's a conversation that the city manager and I and Brandy have all the time, and the mayor and the mayor pro tem, and then our team too. So this is part of that continuation, right? It's part of, you know, that challenge that you know, that Dr. Carter G. Woodson, you know, challenged us and tasked us with when coming up with, you know, Black history or Negro, you know, history, you know, and so, you know, as we try to explain these things and try to standardize it and integrate all of these into our everyday vernacular, right? And I was just reminded where he talked about, like, all Americans believe that Blacks should be proud of their history, but that history was not the mere gathering of facts, but that the object of historical study was to arrive at a reasonable interpretation of the facts. We're telling the story, we're building upon these things. And it starts right here and right now. And it's a continuation of what we've been doing, in which all of you have been doing. So Randy, I'm sorry for taking up additional time, but they got us started. So we'll wait our turn till next month.
No, I'm just going to turn it over to our fabulous chair with a big smile on my face, knowing that the energy that we feel on this screen is what our vision was to better our community. So, Madam Chair, it's all yours.
Okay, well, first of all, I've lived here and I didn't know we had all those programs. So I'm looking forward to actually enjoying my city because to Eric's point, a lot of us work outside of the city and we're not here. You know, we come home, we rest, we enjoy the beauty of Temecula, but now based on the great work that we have found that you all are doing, especially in the arts, the museums. I'm really excited about that. I'm really, really excited. So thank you all, thank everyone for their presentations tonight. It was very informative. And we will go to the commission reports at this time. Does any commissioners have any reports that they want to share? Yes. Commissioner Imelda.
Thank you, Chair Baker. Hello, everyone. Yes, I just have a few items to report on. So on January 25th, I did attend the Sam Hicks Monument Park Sneak Peek event. I saw the city manager there, some of the commissioners, staff. Yes, I see Kevin clapping. I saw community services staff, some of the council members and other public works staff. It was amazing. It was a great event. I think my favorite equipment there was a global motion ball. I didn't get on it, but I know that Kevin did. So just wanted to report that I was at that event. I also checked out the virtual grand opening event on the following day. And then on January 27th, Mount San Jacinto College had a day celebrating the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It was a full day virtual event and it was amazing. They had his speeches, interviews, the assassination letters, and it was just great. And I know I mentioned this to Randy, but it just got me, it was a good reminder that, of what we stand for in the initiative and all the great things he did, but also that, the third Monday in January is really a day on, not a day off. And so it is a national day of service. So, and I know I mentioned this to Randy that maybe as a group, we can think about in the future, maybe having a volunteer event or something to celebrate that. So just wanted to throw that out there for future discussion. I also attended the League of California Cities, or I think now it's Cal Cities City Manager Conference last week. They had some great topics. And one of the topics, there was a speaker, her name was Tiana Sanchez, who's an author and corporate speaker and trainer. She spoke on a topic with one of the local city managers. It was called It's Relational, Not Transactional, Addressing Racial Equity and Social Injustice in the Workplace. And it was a great topic. It talked about training on wanting to do, not having to do, ensuring equitable communities, agency equity statements, and ensuring workplace equity, but also talked about core values and how they must align with equity commitment. But anyway, long story short, it was a great presentation and all the attendees got a free ebook of hers called The Awakening, the Rise of the Conscious Leader. But she did authorize me to share that with this group. So I did provide the ebook to Randy Joel, if you all would like to check it out. It's only like 20 pages long, but it does have some good information on enhancing equity, a case study, and ethical contracts. And I just thought it was great and I wanted to share with this group. Additionally, I am a Inland Empire regional board member for the Municipal Management Association of Southern California, also known as MMASC. And it's a professional organization that focuses on networking and professional development for local government employees at all levels. Typically, it's comprised of management assistants, management analysts, city managers, assistant city managers, et cetera. And there's an Inland Empire region, San Diego County region, Orange County. It's just a great group. It's been around for decades. But in that, through that program, we are starting to have periodic coffee and conversations. And last week, it was a group of analysts that got together and last week, and the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs came up. And it was just a great dialogue. One person was asking, hey, what are cities doing? Are they creating policies? What are they doing as far as this initiative? So I just thought it was great because all these different cities are talking about it. There was not just like the city of Menifee, but there was also the city of Anaheim represented, city of Beverly Hills, Ontario, different cities. So it's just great to see that we're all aligning on this initiative. And along those lines, MMASC is actually partnering with the Alliance for Innovation and 30 other organizations for their annual winter forum. It's actually called Gubapalooza this year. And it's March 1st through 5th. And they're gonna have many great keynote speakers and some local leaders presenting. But I wanted to bring it up to this group because the themes this year are climate and environment, economic revitalization, equity and inclusion, and public safety. So if this group is interested in attending, it is open to anybody. It's not just for MMASC members. It is March 1st through 5th. It's a virtual, they're calling it a virtual festival or digital festival, but it's a week-long conference. I sent Randy a link to the registration. I also sent her a link to the flyer and also a schedule of events so you can see all the different topics being proposed each day. And I also sent a code you can use for discounted registration. But other than that, I did check out some of the exhibits that were on the Temecula Valley Museum website, which was amazing. I saw the Through Darkness to Light. If you haven't checked it out, it's a great exhibit, and appreciate all the links to the other virtual art exhibits as well. And again, just wanted to thank council and staff. I saw that the race, equity, diversity, and inclusion is a priority on the budget. So I can't wait to work with this group on creating a core value and long-term goals. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you for that. Very good report. If I had known we was going to report all of that, I would have had a list. I didn't know we were reporting on all that we do outside of this commission to bring it to this commission. So that was very good. And I have lots to share from that standpoint. Good. That's good. Go ahead, Jackie. Commissioner Steed.
Thank you. I just want to report Habitat for Humanity just had their advocacy days virtually. We went up to Sacramento last week, we did it all virtually. And then for the last couple of days, we had Habitat on the Hill. Again, it was all virtual, but it's amazing how much a lot of their speakers has shifted to include exactly what REDI stands for. And the statistics are staggering when you look at the amount of different ethnicities and how home ownership is affected and what those statistics are. So we definitely have a huge gap to fill there in regards to making sure that everybody has the opportunity to have home ownership and be able to take advantage of all that has to offer. So I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody. It's great that our city is doing this and being proactive. But I think we're just part of the global scale that's really taking this under consideration. So thank you guys.
Commissioner Wilson, sure.
Oh,
I'm looking at you. I don't know that you know I'm looking at you. Sorry. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm sorry. We miss being in person, you know.
I know. Okay. I just wanted to report also this past week, I went to a couple of webinars, and one of them, they spoke on the other America. And that is a speech that Dr. Martin Luther King gave, and I can get the link and send it out to you guys, but it talks about things that happened in 1966 when he did that. And it's kind of heartbreaking because some of the same things are still going on. It's like he spoke it and it's still going on now, but it's called The Other America. And I went to that. Also, I met with one of the local pastors here, and he's just reforming his church, and his whole mission is mercy, justice, and love. And he's trying to bridge the gap just to include every ethnicity. And he's really putting all his efforts into this. And he wanted to share with the REDI committee, the commission, to see, if he can add anything to what he's doing with his church for us also, because we're all one big city and to make things work. So he's one of the local pastors here. And also I've been on a webinar. They're talking about doing book clubs, and some of these books are just books to educate people and to just share with our community different things we could do. It could be once a month, once a quarter. Let's read these books, and then let's have some open discussion where we can really dialogue and just see, the inner side of people. A lot of people just don't know the questions to ask because they just don't. But I thought if we have a very diverse book club, and every month or every quarter we could do different books, but let's just come together and just brainstorm and just have a good time with conversation. I think that's going to open up the door for other people in our city to get them to embrace them and get them more involved. And that's what we want everybody to know, that you have a place here in Temecula. So that's my report, Commissioner.
Thank you for your report. These reports are giving me life. Come on, Ms. Harris. Come on, Commissioner Harris.
Thank you. In the spirit of sharing, Palomar College, Black Faculty and Staff Association is having a series of workshops in celebration of Black Excellence for Black History Month. They're all online via Zoom, and not to brag or anything, but my amazing cousin, who is a professor there, will be giving a workshop on the 18th that discusses Black hair and how it manifests its importance in Black culture. But I'm really quite excited. I was able to see the first Zoom meeting, which was about local political action, and it was absolutely great. So I would suggest it for anybody who is interested in seeing what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Does anyone else Commissioner Faulkner, I see you're open.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just making a statement. I've embedded myself since we've started this in everything REDI. Been taking a couple courses, administrative courses, and ensure that we are aligned in our focus and our effort, and then make sure we're in sync with where we go with this. So I'm sure many of you have done it as well, have worked on those things as well. But I've been definitely digging in to make sure that we're on the right track. Another thing, just thinking out loud when we get back to being able to talk to people, and just creating this atmosphere with centered around let's talk about us. Just those 4 words. Let's talk about us. Just get out and talk to the citizens of Temecula and just have a conversation with people that don't look like us, don't walk like us, and see how we can continue to galvanize on the things that they see moving Temecula forward. So let's, as a commission, let's get out and talk to people that we normally don't talk to, and as leadership, period. Let's get uncomfortable in this thing, because these three words: race, equity, diversity, inclusion, creates a stigma of disassociation where people don't want to engage. So let's make ourselves uncomfortable and have conversations that move the city of Temecula forward. So I'm looking forward to a time when we get out of this COVID environment where we can actually really dig in and have deeper conversations with the citizens of Temecula. But we can do some things even before then, whether we're walking out to the grocery store or whether we're going out, have a conversation to see how we can gather information to move our commission forward, and see how we can support the other commissions and the leadership of the city to ensure that this is a place for everyone. All right, so that's all I had. Just want to make that statement, and I'm out of there.
Thank you, Commissioner Faulkner. Commissioner Pastoria, would you like to share?
Thank you, Chairwoman Baker. So the only thing I would report is many of you know that I'm affiliated with the Scouting organization. They are moving towards in the future, which the shorter term future, creating a merit badge for exactly what it is that we're doing here, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, this just shows the alignment to the initiative, like Vice Chair Huerta said as well. And this is something that is so important. But making what more strikes me in what I think I'd like to kind of follow up what Commissioner Faulkner said, and certainly put this in Kevin's lap a little bit too, is where our change happens with our youth as well, and it needs to happen bringing these things there. And how are we going to get our youth of Temecula ready? And that's the question as well. And I think that's an important piece that we need to be thinking about as we move forward. Kind of like Commissioner Faulkner says, let's roll up our sleeves and kind of get uncomfortable. But part of that is truly creating a comfort place of inclusion, and a place where these conversations become very normal. And that starts with our youth and what we need to do there. So again, as it's coming into youth organizations, I also think that we should be mindful of the impact that it has on our youth of our communities, and what we can do with that as well, and how we're going to prepare them for a future where change is all positive and good in how we move forward in this. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Steve. Did all the commissioners share? It's too many people on here to see the names. Did every commissioner share? Okay, good. Well, I'll share. I came into this meeting today, my heart heavy, because I just wanted us to make sure we were learning, because this is so very important. But I am so proud to sit with you commissioners, because each one of you told me outside of this group, you went to educate yourself so you can be ready. And I eat and live and breathe this based on what I do for community action. So I too have been into conferences all weeks and trainings on race. And I don't say that in a bad way. You just hear so much. It's so polarizing. And it's such controversial topics. And so I'm so glad that we have a group of commissioners that are happy to take the courage to step into this space. And I'm happy for the city that we've decided to do this. I just only ask one question, is the city will give us some direction, because as you can see, we're all full of knowledge on our own. But how would you like us to serve you? How would you like us to serve you along the areas of race, diversity, equity, and inclusion? I want to be the best commissioner for you. And so I want you to tell me, do you want me to go out and learn about race, equity, and diversity on my own and come back and share with you what I've learned? Because I think this is a good conversation. Are we going to come together to do that? Is it appropriate to do that? Because what I'm finding is that people, and this is from, you guys gave us everyone is doing something, which is fantastic. But what I understand is, from a human and sociologist standpoint, is that people, when they fear what they don't understand, they fight against it. So as much as we can be very clear with each other and the city, the residents, on what is it that the REDI Commission is going to do. I've seen people, you're going to tear up our city. Well, no, the city council would never do that. The city council would never put something together to tear up the city. Then there's some is, you guys are not doing enough. What are you doing? What is enough? I don't know. But what I do know is that the city, we need to come together with a collective understanding of, we're going to do this in the meeting city. This is to my city of Temecula, tell the city what we're going to do, because the fear is growing. The agitation is growing. What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's like, we're learning. Well, what are you learning? Why are you learning? Like these were beautiful presentations. I love understanding what we do, but I still want to know, how do you want me to advise you? from a race, equity, diversity, and inclusion standpoint. How do we do that? How do we give you the feedback? How do you want us to take this format? The questions just came, and I was like, well, should I stop the questions? Well, how, I just want to know the process and make sure because we're all doing the work on our own outside of what we're here. That's why I'm so happy about my commission. You all are woke. That's good. You're in the trenches. So we don't have people that are uneducated around the topic. It is how do we collectively come together and aim our knowledge to help our city. We've had some wonderful, wonderful suggestions, book clubs. These were things I was asking. How can we get people to hear? How can we get people to talk? How can we give people a safe space? These are still questions I have. How can we do that and not violate the Brown Act, but give people a safe space? Because this is human. You're dealing with people's emotions. We're talking about, like Commissioner Faulkner said, it's so polarizing. I just want to bring the temperature down for the community and create safe environments for people to speak. But I think my personal desire would be for people to learn. For people to learn, because when you learn about me and I learn about you, or we learn about a subject like, what is inclusion? What does that really look like? Your definition of inclusion and my definition of inclusion may be something different. But for this group, what does inclusion mean? What does diversity mean? What do those terms mean to this particular body? Because we're going to get a lot of information from different sources, but we need to come together in this space and define that, because I too chair and sit on, I have diversity. It's too many of, things to remember, but I'm on the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and their work is aimed towards poverty. So that work is aimed towards poverty and looking through a lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, and seeing how we're addressing poverty, making sure that our policies and our programs are aligned. And so that's what I would like a little bit more direction on from the council. And I also would like to just keep this statement in mind. People fear what they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people fear Black people. When someone clutch their purse, they don't understand. We're not here to hurt anyone. And because your race is in this title first, it's breeding fear. How do we calm the fear? How do we come together? Or is that not something we should address here? I'm just trying to get a feel of what's going on. And when people don't understand, like these were great presentations tonight, wonderful presentations. I'm excited to get involved as a resident, but how do I then aim this information to my community on your behalf? I'm just trying to seek some direction here. And also, can we bring trainings here? Can we invite others to go to trainings and things of that nature? Because I think these would be great for the city, that the residents get training, that the residents learn what these terms mean, because they are afraid. Well, why? We don't have any problems here. And yes, we do. Well, I think they're both right. I think based on where your perspective is both right. So when we come together and we share our experiences and we share our expertise, that gives voice to all the people at the table. So that's what I would say, that I will ask the question I'm not saying for this meeting, I'm saying, can we have a formal thing? Can you tell the community so they won't look at us like we either are going to do something that they don't want us to do, or that we're not doing enough because they don't understand our process and what process we're in. So I would ask that if we can do that at a later time, to just let everyone know. I was asking you bring back our REDI initiative. I think that'll be good to review at this meeting, at a meeting here, so we can say this is what the city's REDI initiative is. They actually have a REDI initiative, and this is the process in which we're following in that REDI initiative. I think that'll give a lot of clarity as well. You know, just some suggestions on clarity and inclusion. So everyone is brought along, because good leadership brings everyone along at the same time. And we want to be good leaders here around such a very controversial subject matter and very important subject matter. Commissioner Ivy, are you raising your hand?
No, I'm not raising my hand. Okay. I think I'm just an extremely emotive person. I have to like catch myself throughout the meeting. I'm listening and I'm just enthralled by, you know, what you were saying. And I thought it was very thought provoking. So that was just my very much in deep thought face. What you're saying.
Thank you. And I will give you an example that's outside of us right now. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we are, like I said, I deal with poverty. So I'm dealing with poverty in this construct, right? Well, one of the things I was in the conference was for poverty, but of course around this subject matter. And I did not know, I'm learning so much. I didn't know that people blame people for being in poverty, that they feel you just need to work hard enough or you need to do these things. And they were telling us, no, your job as commissioners are to go back and educate people of how poverty really exists and how it came about. But I didn't even know that. I just went to a training and happened to learn that. I'm going to give you, I had sent this to Randy because I was like, isn't this good? And I'm going to read you one of the things I learned, since everyone is sharing what they learned, because I didn't know this. I'm learning a lot. I'm so excited to learn. I like to learn. So I asked for training because I like to learn and I want to do it right. Did you know that these types of racism, structural racism, differential access to goods, services, and opportunities by race, personally mitigated racism, prejudice and discrimination based on assumptions about capabilities and motives of heart, and internal racism. This touched me deeply. Accepting by the stigmatized racists, quote unquote racists, of negative messages about one's own ability and intrinsic worth. I found that so powerful. See, that right there is not polarizing, is it? That's what I mean. If we just can talk and learn, then we can take the heat down. But it's these type of things that I think we can bring to the community as a whole, a knowledge around the issues in which we're addressing. I was very moved by that because I realized that as a Black woman, I had some internal racism, and that I just called it overcoming limited thinking. And that's what I have taught and trained. And my heart is with children, of course, because my mind is, if I can change your way of thinking, if I can change your mind, I can change the trajectory of your life. So that's why I train and I teach and I educate. And it shed a light on something that I had never had a title for. I just know I had to overcome, but I had some internal racism. I was like, wow, how awesome would that have been for others to know? And so I think we can share in our experience, and these type of platforms would allow for that. Mayor Edwards, did you have your hand up? I'm so sorry. I see your hand there.
Well, I did, but I'm so thrilled with everything that's taking place. I don't want to interrupt. I would just tell you, I love the direction you're heading, and just keep doing it and more.
You kind of cut out, but I'd heard that you say you like this conversation.
Yes.
Okay, this is great. So I just encourage us to, it's so much to do. Where do we start? What do we do? When do we do it? There's so much to do. And so, yes, Commissioner Harris.
I think once we start getting more of the community comments, that might provide us the platform to engage with some of the questions that that some of the citizens have regarding, our thoughts on maybe something that had happened throughout the city, or where they believe, we should be going. And that would open up more of a dialogue for us and give us a little bit more direction in that case,
Right.
to discussing some of those more philosophical issues.
Okay. Well, this can go a whole bunch of ways, and this is the reason why I'm asking the question, because it can go so many different ways of how we address it, on down to if we're doing a book club, like Commissioner Wilson said, would that be enough? Would that be adequate? Do we need to do something else? Depending upon the community and depending upon what the city would like us to do. So that will conclude my questions, report, excitement. I'm so excited. I'm just I'm really thrilled to hear that you are educating yourselves, Commission. Very good, very good. My heart is happy. I have fellow learners. Thank God, fellow learners. Okay, so we will turn it over to Randy for her Executive Director report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, it's interesting because we must have been on the same page. I actually have a couple of slides on the REDI initiative. I wanted to give you guys a status update on where we've been. I recognize that some of you were already engaged in this space even before the commission was formed, but maybe not everybody was. So we wanted to give the community a quick overview, and we wanted to give you a quick overview on the REDI initiative and kind of where we're at. We've all made notes. I know Kevin's team has made diligent notes, and we absolutely expect to bring, this is what we were hoping was going to come out of this, was some of your follow-up on the areas that you are interested in, providing recommendations and having additional dialogue on as we move through this process. This is a journey, like Mayor had said previously, we haven't formed a commission in quite some time. And so we are walking this walk with you all and with the community. With respect to Charles and his list of programs, we will absolutely go ahead and bring back an in-depth presentation for you with an opportunity to give you guys engage in some dialogue and then provide some recommendations as well. With respect to inclusion and community services, as Director Hawkins mentioned, you are going to get more of that in the Community Services Department review. And that will be a great time for you to provide feedback. With respect to the National Day of Service, we have actually already, thank you for the idea. Thank you for the comments. We've already had an internal discussion. As Kevin mentioned, Community Services Commission and REDI Commission, Kevin and I on a variety of levels, we do operate as sister commissions, brother, sister setups. So we will all be working very closely on that front. Commissioner Huerta, I did receive your email and I will distribute that out to the full commission. And I actually already have an email request from a staff member who is watching this meeting, who requested that it be distributed to and shared by the staff as well internally. So we'll make sure we get that out to council and staff as well. For those of you that are, Commissioner Harris, you mentioned the Palomar workshops. If you, in your personal professional spaces, have any information that you would like to share with the balance of your commission, please feel free to forward it to me. I will distribute it to the full commission, and we will keep that public record of distribution so that when the community wants to know what information you all are looking at and sharing, we're able to share that with the public as well. And that's how we operate with the other commissions and the city council as well, when we disseminate information in that space collectively from one. Commissioner Faulkner, I love the Let's Talk About Us theme. I could already see that my fellow director Hawkins would, I heard his face kind of light up on that too. Yeah, let's talk about us. Public comments. So right now, because we are in the virtual space, public comments are being received per the executive order under Brown Act and all that via email. So you'll recall at your last meeting, we had one public comment that was emailed in, and then we are obligated to read those public comments on the record. Obviously, with public comments, you as a commission can't respond back to the public comment specifically, but you can always direct staff to bring that back at a future meeting for a broader conversation. So we do absolutely encourage members of the public that are watching and that are interested in this space. Please, right now, feel free to go ahead and send the comments in via the notice on top of the agenda. And hopefully at some point, we'll be able to get back into in-person meetings so that y'all can show up in person at the chamber. And now, so that's the follow-up on that. I did share with you guys that the city is a member of the League of California Cities, which represents 482 cities. The League is forming an advancing equity committee. So that charge of that particular committee, which I have the privilege of co-chairing at the state level, is to develop resource and tool recommendations for all cities in the state of California to be able to utilize as they're engaging in their communities in the space of race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. There are many communities that are walking this walk alongside our community. So anything that we are getting in that space, it will all be coming back to y'all. Okay, so now let me go ahead and share my screen. And I hope this works. All right. So I am hopeful that you can go ahead and see this screen. Can one of, I'm sorry, I can see my screen, or I can see my presentation, but I cannot see your faces. So can somebody just unmute and let me know that you're seeing this?
I see it.
Awesome, great, fantastic. So, so the REDI initiative, and I apologize if this is repetitive for some of you, but we'll just give a quick little overview. The City Council approved the REDI initiative back in July 14, 2020. Our REDI initiative, while there's not a specific timeline associated with it, it's expected to take between 18 and 24 months. There's some consultant services involved, so it all just kind of depends. Again, there's not a particular timeline associated with it. The REDI initiative, it is actually based on the National League of Cities Race, Equity, and Leadership initiative. The REAL program through NLC was actually developed in 2012 in response to the then events and protests and communities' desires across the state of California, but also across the nation to have some resources developed for communities to engage in this space. So our REDI initiative has 3 core principles. The first principle is to go ahead and normalize the conversation. So that's kind of what we're doing now, right? We're engaging in the space of race, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we're normalizing the work that it's okay to go ahead and spend time, effort, and energy in this space, both internally at City Hall and externally in the community. The second phase is the operationalizing our action. And then our third phase is organizing a sustainable effort so we can make sure that this work that we're doing is embedded into our city and community culture. So phase 1, as I mentioned, a couple of these items have already been done and a couple of these items are underway. So one of the things that the City Council stated right away as we were engaging in this dialogue and last summer was that they all thought this to be important enough where they all wanted to be equally engaged versus use a subcommittee culture. Obviously that presented some Brown Act challenges, but we are more than willing to work around those. And so a lot of our trainings and our conversations, they have to happen in the public space because everybody is equally engaged. The council wanted to absolutely declare its formal position. And so they adopted a resolution supporting unity and denouncing hate and racism. That was just unequivocally, they didn't react right away. They wanted to be thoughtful in their public formal stance. And so in August, they did adopt that. It was July or August, they did adopt that resolution. They also, phase one has more of an internal focus, whereas phase two gets into the external. So they also wanted to make sure that we were receiving diversity and equity training internally. Like many of you had mentioned, we wanted to be in a situation where we agree on definitions and understanding internally before we're necessarily going out externally. Just to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody has a solid foundation upon which to grow. So the city went ahead and contracted with NLC last fall, and right before winter, right before December, the end of December, and the transition of our council, we held our initial city council training, which was publicly available for all public to view. Mind you, it has to be done in a Brown Act manner. And so after that, we actually switched. As you guys know, we have 2 new council members that came back on and that are on board now. So we are actually in the process right now of identifying dates with the National League of Cities and their real program directors and staffers to go ahead and conduct that second training publicly available for with the city council. And also to do an organizational assessment and provide the directors, executive directors training as well. And then in that line is also training for all of our boards and commissions and our city workforce as well. Obviously, this is not work that is going to happen immediately or at one time, depending upon availability and scheduling and budgeting and all these things. But we wanted to give you an idea of what was coming up in the next few months here. The council at the time also wanted to do an internal professional media relations training for themselves. Sometimes at the conferences that they attend, they do receive this, but when situations happen, as they did in the city of Temecula last summer, they wanted to make sure that they were equipped with the best tools and training in order to respond publicly and in order to engage in the community. So that is also in the process of being scheduled, and that is forthcoming, will also be publicly available. Communication, again, we're still in phase one. They wanted to have some initial communication with law enforcement to understand what the existing policies are for our sheriff's office for hiring, training, community policing, and identify opportunities for improved communication. This isn't the end all be all work, but at least we were getting a lot of inquiries regarding, how are deputies hired? How are they trained? Where are they supposed to be? How are they supposed to be responding? So we had some internal conversations initially with law enforcement to understand some of these mechanisms and identify opportunities for improved communication. Internally, we have now improved some of those incident communications, as well as we now have that presence in Old Town Temecula as well. That was an area that we were receiving a lot of comments about from the business community, where they wanted some presence and engagement. And so those deputies are now just on a regular basis embedded into the Old Town business community and business culture and engaging in those communities. And we expect that would be extending in the future out to the rest of the community as well. We also wanted to go ahead and look for one-way listening opportunities and learning from the community by attending educational events and meetings organized by community groups. So Some of you know the city council and staff, members of the city council and staff met with several folks in the last summer into the fall, and it was a little bit challenging under the pandemic, but it was truly just for one-way listening opportunities so that we could just initially understand what the issues were, and ensure that people were being seen, ensure that people were being heard, and then drive this work plan accordingly as well. And then the last piece of phase one was creating a diversity or equity board or commission, so that this group of citizens could advise city council on matters of diversity, inclusion, race, equity, etc., similar to other existing boards and commissions. And we had a record number of applicants, more than have ever applied for a particular board or commission. We had 56 applicants that applied for 7 positions. We recruited over 60 days, and here the 7 of you are, and we're so glad that you are here. Phase 2, this is where to give you a little sneak peek of where we are going. The idea for phase 2, which is more external facing, the council approved going ahead and contracting for some professional assistance, either with NLC or others, to help facilitate conversations on diversity, inclusion, race, and equity within the community. And whether that bleeds into the next section there as well, is whether those are small group gatherings, whether those are homeowners associations, whether those are coffee with council members in their districts, whether those are book clubs, whatever they happen to be, that is definitely a place that we want to make sure that we are going. And then absolutely continue our ongoing communication with law enforcement as the community responds, and they respond to you as the REDI Commission, and as you as the REDI Commission residents and ambassadors of the city are engaging in bridge builders in this space, engaging with those conversations with law enforcement to build that stronger community policing model based on the overall needs of the city, our business community, our residents. And council even talked about partnering with the school district on some options. And then internally, they wanted to go ahead and do a city council protocol manual, similar to what other cities have, for orientation, education, accountability purposes. And this was really more focused on, as we have turnover in city council members, it's important to have something in writing that will be of assistance as new council members come on. And then also look at citywide policies and programs. Again, a place where you as the REDI Commission will be helping us out as we review our citywide policies and programs to determine additional opportunities for diversity and inclusion of underrepresented community populations. Today, you guys are already doing this work because you guys already started suggesting right after you received presentations, you heard information. Is there opportunity to look at this? Is there opportunity to engage in this manner, in a different manner? It's a different lens, and this is a part of that expansion of our citywide policies and programs. And then last but certainly not least, last slide, phase 3. This is that sustainable effort that we talked about, right? You've often heard perhaps that people spend their money where their heart is, right? So that's tied to our budget. So we wanted to make sure that we have a refreshed budget process with an ability for additional public engagement, utilizing new outreach methods, internally, externally. We really wanted to make sure that we were considering our spending priorities based on the service needs of underrepresented community populations. So the budget will be coming before all of our boards and commissions. So you will be receiving a presentation on that. If there is something that you are thinking about, that would definitely be the time to go ahead and speak up any recommendations or suggestions you have. And then my personal favorite, and only because this really goes to the heart of what Temecula is. Everything we do is tied to the quality of life for Temeculans. The city of Temecula, as some of you know, operates on, we have a quality of life master plan, and this master plan lives a couple of decades, and it really drives the community's engagement, progress, growth, all of that. And currently we have 6 values in our quality of life master plan, and everything we do from down to the annual departmental goals are tied to those current 6 values. So the city council, and I'm just as a former resident, but also just as an employee, I'm so proud of their effort to add the equity value, because that necessarily embeds the city council, the community departments looking at equity every single year as they put into place their departmental goals. So with that, and you can see that's why that's my personal favorite. So with that, that, Madam Chair, is an update on our REDI initiative, a little overview, a little sneak peek at where, past peek at where we've been and sneak peek at where we're going. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
I think I saw in phase 2 where you said you were going to contract with NLC to provide some community, a construct for community communication platform or whatever. One of the things I was thinking is, did anything go into the conversation about that training that you're going to contract with them, providing the commission with that training? So maybe there's a cost savings there. You don't have to contract with NLC. You can just have the commission kind of support that that communication with the community. So I'm just thinking outside the box. I didn't know if that was being thought about.
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner Faulkner. That particular slide stated contract with NLC or other outlet. And so absolutely, because there was even a discussion about possibly train the trainer type deal, so that we can be mindful. And now we have the REDI Commission in place. So you guys are actively engaged in the community on so many levels. So you'll be receiving that training in the phase 1 portion before we engage in the phase 2.
Oh, phase 1. Okay. So does anyone have any? Commissioner Wilson, you smiling. Do you have a question? Okay, I'm looking.
No, Commissioner Huerta, I think she has something to say.
Oh, I just had a quick question. I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. I know we will be receiving training, but will there also be an opportunity for this commission to have listening sessions with the community? I know council will have like coffee conversations, but will we have those types of opportunities as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and definitely, it sounds like you guys want those opportunities. So we'll definitely take that back to City Council as well and facilitate that.
And do we have an expected time of when we'll have training or when we'll be a part of training as a group here?
You know what? I don't have the exact dates. We're working with, as I mentioned, it is, we're in the process of scheduling City Council right now, and we're hopeful that that's going to happen in the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll be getting to you guys. We do have executive directors next, just based on the fact that there's an organizational assessment that's happening. So we're hopeful that within the next few months, your guys' training will be complete as well.
Director Joel, are we able to get a more detailed outlook of each of those phases emailed to us? Certainly what you have is great, and I think that's helpful for our needs certainly tonight, but it would be great to spend a little time with that in detail.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and send you the links to the discussion that the City Council had, and we'll also send you the PowerPoints that were publicly available for those meetings. So that you have that as a reference point as you're engaging with the community.
Excellent, thank you.
Our hearts clear? All right. Well, we want to thank you all for your time. We want to thank you for the opportunity to serve. We want to thank you for the opportunity to listen, learn, and grow and be impactful. We thank everyone for their reports. We thank you for just making this platform. Without you, we couldn't be here. So I'm very optimistic that as we go forward, we can grow and go together as we bring our community stronger. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for this time. I'm grateful for this commission. Thank you for your leadership. I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for your willingness to grow and learn and to be courageous, because this is mindset work, and it's work of courage, because we're tackling great topics. So thank you all. Thank you to the City Council, Mayor Edwards, Mayor Ron, Pro Tem Ron. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for staff, and thank you to the commission. Thank you. And thank you to our community for trusting us. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful evening. And until we meet again, stay safe and get to know someone different than yourself. Have a good evening. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.